Straightsmilesolutions.com, and let's talk about today those erupting molars, whether the patient is 12 years old or 18, 19, 16, 17, whether it's those second molars coming in or those wisdom teeth, the third molars. If the patient is currently going through aligner treatment, you got to keep an eye on those teeth that are erupting. Why? Because you're going to have to cover them at some point. Why? Because if you don't cover them, they are teeth, there's a thickness to the aligner, right? I mean, it's a couple fractions of a millimeter, it's super thin. But when you have two of those in, your mouth is propped open so that those erupting teeth that aren't covered have a little more wiggle room to continue erupting, because the whole mouth is propped open by that much. So then they will always erupt until they touch something. So that's going to cause them to super erupt. And if they super erupt, it's a lot harder to intrude things later than it is to just stop things from super erupting, if that makes sense. So we need to avoid that. And sometimes we forget. We start a Clincheck or a treatment plan, and we forget that not all the molars are in yet. Maybe it's a mixed dentition case. Maybe you're in from 6 to 6, from first molar to first molar. Maybe all the second molars aren't in yet, so you decided not to capture them or not to include them yet. And then they start erupting nice and straight. Even if they're erupting straight in aligners, you still have to cover them, which means you have to do a refinement and rescan, which is one of the reasons why I strongly, strongly don't recommend that you do anything but an unlimited or comprehensive case, all-inclusive with many refinements, in a case where every single tooth that you're planning to have is not already fully erupted. Does that make sense? That includes wisdom teeth. They're either out or they're totally impacted and not in the way. If they're kind of in that in-between stage where they're gonna need to come up and they're not planning to have them out, well, then I'm gonna have to do refinements to include them. And you can't always do that at one time. They may not come up, boom, all at the same time. One might come up 1 month, a few months later, the next one might come up. So you may have to do 4 refinements. Well, if you weren't bargaining for that and you only have 1 refinement in your plan because you're doing a GO or a moderate, well, you're kind of in trouble here. So that's one of the reasons it's a great idea just to solve the wisdom teeth mystery before you even start treatment. But anyways, don't just let it go, because you may end up paying a lot more than you expected. So those are the main things, as soon as they come up, whether they're touching a tooth with articulating paper, you check, check, check. Or if the other one hasn't come up or there's no opposing, once they're at the level of the occlusal plane, you need to cover them. And you need to cover them, I would say, I want you to aim for at least 2/3. 1/2 is the bare minimum, and weird things can happen with tipping when you do 1/2. I mean, it's kind of like a fulcrum. So I would like to have 2/3 bare minimum covered. If you're planning to move it, you got to cover it 100%. If you're just keeping it from super erupting, it needs to be 2/3. Hopefully that was helpful. Thank you. And by the way, this is very different than braces. Braces, I'm not putting brackets on them unless I need to, and I'm gonna do it at the 18 NITI stage, and this is all covered in our straight wire course. So I'm not doing it from day one. I'm only needing to do it in a couple circumstances. 1, if I need to integrate the bite or coordinate the bite. 2, if there's a perio trap or a gap between the molars. Or 3, if it's really funky crooked and it's making the bite look weird. Or maybe 4, if the patient's complaining, even if it's really not a problem. So, all right, thank you.